as is the macro, such is the micro. So like the universe is a replication. This is how all the sage scientists, I call them, this is how they learned about the truth of the human body, is because everything outside, right, is replicated inside. It's all a rhythm. We've gone so off rhythm, but just think about how everything, what creates life is rhythm, right? From the vibration of a cell to our breath, to the blood flowing, everything has a rhythm and a pattern, and the rotation, the revolution, and it's like this massive, large orchestra that's happening. Everything is a beat. Sometimes I tell people just start with aligning with the circadian rhythm.
Which takes me honestly to like the title of your book even, which is Your Body Already Knows. It already knows. So why did you choose that?
When I started to practice, I realized that Ayurveda had really become like modern medicine, where people would just give prescriptions like eat this, do that. And that's not. I'm like, it's completely disconnected from the intelligence and the wisdom we carry. So much information. The more information, the less trust in ourselves, right? It's all outside of us. And then coincidentally or not coincidence, that the first cause of disease in Ayurveda is loss of wisdom. And I wanted to be like Newton under that tree. Like, well, that Newton was not in his laboratory. He was under a tree when he saw that connection again, Brahmande, macro, micro, and he realized, oh, this is gravity. So I said, I have to find a framework that brings us back to our intelligence. And this was a way for people to go back to what your body already knows. Because if animals can do it, if bugs can do it, if worms can do it with like 2 senses and no brain, we can.
Ever since I wrote my goals down with the pen, my dreams and reality have both been blending in. I just hope that in the end, my debt don't extend me on my dividends if it did.
Dr. Nidhi, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Frank.
I've sent so many people and I've told them that they need to go see you after our last conversation. And so many people said it was their favorite episode.
Oh, thank you so much.
They had learned so much. Yeah.
I enjoyed my time talking to you so much, Frank. I felt like I learned so much out of the conversation.
Wow.
So thank you for having me again.
Thank you. And you know, it's full circle, like truly full circle. It's so perfect that it's today because I only very recently have really had these awakenings about what the gut and the bacteria and the planet and everything and our role here really is. Oh. Only like in the last couple of weeks, to the point where I cannot like shake it, right? It's so embedded.
Oh my God, I want to hear more about that.
Well, we talked and I think the most mind-blowing thing in the last session or in the last recording was you talking about how we are the microbiome of the earth in a way. We're not separate from it. We are here really for them, in our human body forms at least. We carry the bacteria. They are not just in the gut like everyone thinks. They're in our skin, they're in our hair, they're in every little thing you can imagine.
Right.
And they were here billions of years before us. We'll be here billions of years after. Maybe they're alien. I don't know where they came from. I haven't, like I told you before, I don't read much because I don't want to be influenced.
Right.
But the level of connection that I feel now, where I realize how they are controlling everything in nature.
Yeah.
I walk around here on the property every single day, and I just see different bugs and organisms, and I'm seeing how they're fully controlled by the microbiome.
Yeah.
It decides when they'll mate. It decides how they'll mate, with who they'll. It decides every function, and if it's doing it for them, it's probably doing it for us.
Oh my God, so true. And you know what dictates the microbiome is the climate.
Right.
Whether it's the climate outside our body or the climate inside our body, right? When the climate is right, like why does life exist on planet Earth and no other planet? Because the climate was right. When climate is right, single cell organisms have become these full-blown humans, mammals with intellect. Wow. Right? And the climate is wrong, and we're seeing that today outside on our planet. The climate has gone wrong. There's a lot of species that cannot survive. But the first thing that happens when the climate is right is that microbiome thrives. And once microbiome thrives, all other kinds of life can thrive. So I am just completely fascinated by this whole idea of like all we need to do is fix the microbiome by fixing the climate, and then life loves life. We don't need to do life. Life happens.
Scientists just discovered that your house is making you sick and tired. The electromagnetic frequencies from your Wi-Fi, smart TV, and devices are creating chaos in your nervous system, and you think you're just tired, but you're actually being drained by invisible energy pollution. Here's what's wild though. Researchers found a way to flip your environment from energy vampire to healing sanctuary. Instead of your space draining you, it can actually charge your biofield with beneficial essential quantum frequencies that boost focus, energy, and performance. I started using Quantum Upgrade in my home office, and it's honestly like someone turned up the volume on my life. I have clearer thinking, better sleep, and way more energy throughout the day. Your environment should be supporting your highest potential, not sabotaging it. So comment quantum and I'll send you my code to transform your space into a quantum healing field for free.
Lessons before we continue this curriculum.
Yeah.
I don't know what anything means. I want you to say this every day. I don't know what anything is for. I don't know who I am. Somebody sent me the other day a thing about Elon Musk. It was on Instagram and it was like, is he a Palladian? Is he all these like, and I said, do you know who you are before you're asking who Elon Musk is? I'm not here to learn who Elon Musk is. I'm here to know who I am.
Yes.
Who am I?
Exactly.
At the core. Before I worry about who Elon Musk is.
Exactly. Who are you when you put away this thinking, all these layers that we have put on ourselves? And when you go back, when you undo that, when you peel the layers of the onion, like what emerges inside. And you're so right. Like as human beings, we think we assume so much power and we think that we plan our lives and we make all these decisions. But really, and this is one thing that I ask my clients. I was like, tell me something remarkable that happened in your life. And somebody will be like, oh, I've met my husband. I'm like, what was your state of mind at that point? And they were not thinking, they were not planning, they were just in perfect flow. They had lost sense of space and time. And when we can do that, and then you really come back into your instinct, into your body, and you're not even like thinking, oh, this is my instinct, you're just there. And this is how animals exist, right? Frank, like we talk so much about like, what do you eat for longevity? What do you eat for nursing? What do you eat for so many things. But if you look at animals, right? And I'm like, this is the promise that I always tell myself, is that I say that deer wake up in the morning to graze, no alarm clock needed. They don't complain about grazing at the same patch of grass. I've seen bears eat big cabbage heads before they go to hibernate so that they can have a bowel movement. The first thing, they want a bowel movement. And nursing mammals will say no to their favorite foods, but eat galactical plants. And bruised animals will go and roll in sulfur-rich soil. They're not taking it to laboratories and saying, oh, is this soil rich in sulfur? Like
they just know.
They don't have the intellect, but they have what their body knows. And all of us have the ability. So I just find that this is such an underrated conversation. It's not had. And I'm so glad that we're having this together, Frank, because there is so much to be discovered just in our own spaces, that this whole incessant quest for give me information from an expert. And I'm not undervaluing that, but give me something outside of me that I don't know is actually the first cause of disease in Ayurveda. The first cause of disease is loss of wisdom, prajna pradha.
Wow.
So when we lose this wisdom and then we fall prey to marketing, to fear, to all these messages outside in the world. So I love that we're having this conversation.
It's so true. It's so true. And for people watching who might say, okay, well, that's a bear or that's a whatever. How do I do that? It's actually a lot simpler once you start connecting with nature again, where you belong, where we all came from, right? Like when you walk around. So an example I'll give you, it was a time when I was so busy and I found myself all of a sudden, there was 1 week where there was nothing to do. And it felt weird because I'm so used to I was so running around, and I'm outside in the morning and I'm just sitting there. So I wake up at between 5 and 6 every morning and my phone won't even be on until 10 a.m. I won't even look at it. It's on airplane mode. Unless it's something urgent that I need to do. Otherwise, 80% of the time, I don't even look at it till 10 a.m. And so I'm out there in the garden with my cats, drinking my tea, and I see snails, and there were snails starting to come out, and it's moist in the morning, so they like that.
Yeah.
And it was seeing nature telling you right now, this is the week to slow.
Yeah.
It's not that you're oh, there's not enough to do. This is the week for you to be slow. That's why you're seeing snails, for that reminder. Okay, got it. And then I'll take walks all the time around in the neighborhood between every session, because my sessions are on Zoom. And I realized one day on my walk, I know exactly the tree that I was talking to. I looked at it and I realized nature has had more clients than I can ever have.
Yeah.
It has healed way more people than me.
Yeah.
For billions of years, it's been healing animals and microbiome and providing through herbs, through sun, through magnetic frequency, whatever it is, it's a healer.
Yeah.
And it has been healing. It has more clients than I'll ever have.
Yeah.
So let me learn from you. You're the healer.
Oh my God.
Now I talk to it and I say, I have these clients, they have this, that. What do I do? Tell me what to do. And I'm not waiting for an answer. That's thinking mind.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting to hear something. I'm just sitting with it. And I trust that the message is going to be delivered.
Will arrive.
Yes.
Yeah. So true. And like again, right, I keep connecting things back to like the Vedic wisdom. And one of the principles again that I work with is Yat Brahmande Tat Pinde, which is as is the macro, such is the micro. So like the universe is a replication. This is how all the sage scientists, I call them, this is how they learned about the truth of the human body, is because everything outside, right, is replicated inside. It's all a rhythm. Frank, and like the other thing that really fascinates me, right, we've gone so off rhythm, but just think about how everything, what creates life is rhythm, right? From the vibration of a cell to our breath, to the blood flowing, everything has a rhythm and a pattern, and the rotation, the revolution. And it's like this massive, large orchestra that's happening. Everything is a beat. And what would happen, right? Like when we see, let's say it starts snowing right now in the summer, you already know, oh, something's gone off rhythm, right? It may not have a direct impact, but as human beings, we know like this is scary, like something is going on. And it's just like so much of this is coming back to that same beat. And we all can do it in different ways. Like sometimes I tell people just start with aligning with the circadian rhythm. And even in that, right, it's so interesting that you notice the snails outside. Because when I teach people about the circadian rhythm, I'm like, in the morning, it's wet and sluggish outside, and you have nasal congestion inside. All of us have like a little bit of congestion. And if you were to do yoga, you're not as flexible because all your fluids are a little bit more moist. And then you eat accordingly, you live accordingly. But there's so much that we can learn from just looking at the patterns outside to know what's happening inside our body. You're absolutely right that nature is the greatest teacher of how to live.
And in a way, it's because it's us. The same cells that make us up, like the bacterial cells, are out there too. And it's like really interesting because, when you look at pictures of, like you mentioned, the saints, the yogic saints, right? Or even modern day enlightened masters, like let's say, I don't know, Paramahansa Yogananda, whatever. You would see photos of them when they were like in their awakening phase, like, when they were first like realizing, and they're like dirty and covered in mud and they're out. But it's because we, on that cellular level, crave to be in that, like, I want to be dirty. I want to be in nature. I am nature. This is me. Like, I don't want to be so sterile.
So raw.
We feel so good. Like, anytime I don't work with plant medicine. I stopped 5 years ago. But when I was in like the ayahuasca phase of my life, seeing beyond the veil, now I want to get there without any medicine. And now I actually truly am. I would fight tooth and nail with every guru, Sadhguru, Sri Sri, all of them, argue with them. You don't know, trust me. There is like, you can get an awakening. They're like, trust me. It makes you a seeker, but it's not the answer. It shows you what's beyond the veil and get there on your own. And now finally, I would say this year, even though I haven't worked with medicine in like 5 years, it was this year that I went, I get it. I know what they mean. But it's like, it gives you that craving to be out in the soil and nature, but you can get there on your own.
I fully agree with you. That's why I've stayed away from plant medicine so far, and for the same exact reason, because intuitively or somewhere inside me, I'm like, I want to have this journey on my own. And there are moments, right? Like the moments that I've seen all the fractal patterns and I've seen like, but I'm like, even a moment of that feels like it's come to me in a very organic manner versus going there and not understanding. Because it's like this, you cannot do a PhD till you've like actually understood everything, all the prerequisite courses, right? So I feel like life takes you through a journey. And I like, for me, it's breath, right? Like breath is my ultimate, is what I use to get to states. And I'm like, you need to go through all those stages of breath to actually arrive at a certain place where that reality becomes your reality and you become one with it.
It's so interesting because, and just also disclaimer about plant medicine, I did love it. I love that I did. It was perfect. It was perfect for what I needed at the time. So I'm saying this from a place of now. Right?
Exactly.
At the time, so glad I did it. Exactly.
Its own way of getting where
just to know what things that and if it's urgent, listen, if somebody's going to take their own life, go and do that if you think and then come back and do it and get back to homeostasis on your own, right? If you need it, just like surgery, if you're like in a, God forbid, car accident or something, go get the surgery, but now use Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, anything else to get back to what you were and even better, right?
Such a great analogy.
So just so people don't think I'm like talking negative only about plant medicine. It's an amazing thing, but
I think so too.
It's still Brahmin. It's still of the world.
Yes, it's absolutely. And I think it has a lot of merit. Like you'll hear Dr. Gabor Mate talk about his journey, and there's like so many, the reason why it's come into mainstream, like psychedelics have become mainstream today in some way or the other, whether it's plant medicine or other psychedelics, is because it the world has realized that there's a truth beyond what we remember from our childhood. Like for a long time, we were believing that, oh, it's just this life. But we know there's so much more. And I just think that idea that the world has opened up. And if you want to just step and get a glimpse of something outside your 3D world, I agree that plant medicine is a great place to start. And I think at any point, right, like if you go with the right intention, you know, you may come to a place like, you know, Frank, like yourself, where you said, hey, now I'm feeling ready to get here on my own, you know. So I think everybody has a different way of getting there, but I think it is remarkable in opening those doors for us humans.
Yes. And it's actually really interesting because I'm seeing now for the first time how psychedelic my life actually just is on its own. To the point, I swear, where I feel high a lot. And to the point where I'll be like, did I take an edible? Did I, like, I'll have to remind myself, like, what did I take? And I'll be like, no, actually I didn't take anything. And it happens even more if I'm having conversations like this. There was a point earlier where I was like feeling a little spinny. Because I start to feel psychedelic. And it was at the time when you were saying something about the microbiome, but all of a sudden I started to feel, because it's like not seeing, I'm not visual, by the way. 35 ayahuasca ceremonies, I've never seen fractals like you're describing. I've never seen fractals. I've never seen images. Everything for me, even if I close my eyes, I actually learned this about myself 2 weeks ago randomly during a session, because the woman was talking about how she like closed her eyes, was visualizing. And I said, wait a minute. So if I said like red apple, you could see a red apple? She's like, yeah. And I realized in that moment, I have zero visual. I can't do that. So I thought that was always hypothetical. When people say, okay, you're meditating, you're on the beach, my mind is blank. I can't visualize a beach.
So you go to a different place.
If I close my eyes and you're doing that, I'm imagining, I'm hearing maybe like ocean waves. Okay, what would it be like if I was like on the sand right now? But I can't visualize. That's
so you're having a whole experience in your body.
Whole experience. Blank. This is blank. If I close my eyes, I'm not seeing anything.
And it's so interesting you say that, right? Because you're saying we had a conversation and you felt high for a moment. And you know, I say this, like when I even teach this, I tell people that sometimes I'll be in a podcast, right? And then I will tune into my breath. And I've seen videos of myself where I look like I'm drunk, like my eyelids are almost drunk. And because it's a state where you're more in the knowing, in the body and in the experience rather than in your head. And it's like sometimes I'll teach a class for 3 hours, Frank, and I wouldn't have prepared anything for the class, but I don't have to prepare anything for the class because the more I just stay in my body and I stay, like the words come, right? Like the words actually just end up coming. But the tool, right? And for anybody who's even listening to this, the tool that I ask often people to employ is that, all right, you may not get there naturally, but what you can do is just like relax your eyelids. Like you were a little bit high, you know, just relax your eyelids. Like let your breath just settle in, like have the exhales become longer. And in that state, you actually cannot, right? The prefrontal cortex, this part of the brain, which has this kind of foveal vision completely engaged on the screen, disconnects you from your emotional and intelligent subconscious brain. So the minute you kind of relax your eyelids and you go to the back of your brain, you don't even know what's happening. Your mind and your body are integrating in a way that you cannot even imagine. And like it is a state where words come out of your mouth. You don't think that. So like for anybody who feels like this is so alien, this is so foreign to them, like even just trying this, like getting in touch with your breath while you're speaking, relaxing your eyelids, maybe sometimes feeling your feet and how they're feeling. Like I'm doing that right now when I'm talking to you, right? And it's like, you don't know what you're doing and you just end up talking and you end up saying things where you're like, I don't even know where this came from.
You end up channeling kind of.
You basically channel because we're also one with this intelligent truth that's happening out there. And all you need to do is become a vessel to get out of the way. And sometimes you can use like, you know, like for example, plant-based medicine, it is a mechanical tool, right? It's something you're taking from the outside world and you're bringing it inside. But sometimes it's just like literally even just changing your posture or changing the way you are showing up.
Are you a healing practitioner who is stuck in a job that drains your soul? Or maybe you are currently practicing but struggling to find the right clients and be seen? Well, in my online course, Awaken the Healer Within, I will show you how to ditch imposter syndrome, awaken your spiritual gifts using real, ancient, Vedic and Egyptian techniques, and all at the same time build a prosperous business with soul-aligned clients who want to pay you. I'll show you the exact strategy that took me from 4-time Emmy Award-winning journalist to healing practitioner making 6 figures. Plus, there's a weekly coaching call so that I am guiding you every step of the way. Now, if you're ready to turn your purpose into prosperity, just visit awakenedhealers.com/join.
good time for me to eat whatever is heavy, and that probably dinner my digestion is not the best or anybody's. So like this is how I learned Ayurveda, and I was a very sensitive child. I saw everybody. I just like noticed the world. I was like this social scientist, and I saw that people had the same stimulus but different response. So I went and I got a formal education in Ayurveda. But when I started to practice, I realized that Ayurveda had really become like modern medicine, where people would just give prescriptions like eat this, do that. And that's not. I'm like, it's completely disconnected from the intelligence and the wisdom we carry. So much information. The more information, the less trust in ourselves, right? It's all outside of us. And then coincidentally or not coincidence, that the first cause of disease in Ayurveda is loss of wisdom. You know, Frank, I refuse to practice like this. I had a very successful, like, eat this, do this, don't do these herbs. And I said, because I'm giving people ease from their symptoms, but I'm setting them up for dependency and despair. They're less confident in their own ability to look after their bodies. And literally, I shut shop on my books. I said, I'm not going to read my books. And I wanted to be like Newton under that tree. Like, that's my classic example, that Newton was not in his laboratory. He was under a tree when he saw that connection again, Yatramande, macro, micro, and he realized, oh, this is gravity. So I said, I have to find a framework that brings us back to our intelligence. And I think, like you said, that when you have the intention, you don't have to look for the answers. You don't seek. You sit with the question.
It's all about the intention, yeah. And then trust that the guides, the gurus, the spirit, whatever it is, will bring it.
Oh my God. And you know, Frank, like I talk about 3 principles, like a framework to bring you back to that intelligence. But if you ask me, and the first one, which is the inner climate method, which is again the same exact, like the climate is right, microbiome will thrive, you will thrive. If you ask me, how did I come, like several people have asked me, how did you come up with the inner climate method? I'm like, I did not come up with it. I was being interviewed and I just don't know why I said this. And when I said it, and I said, oh, we have an optimum inner climate in our body. Our job is to just return back to that climate. And then I said it was warm and moist. I don't know why I said those words. I'm like, I don't know.
So that was not an Ayurvedic training for you?
It was not my cognitive mind at all. But then when I went back to my Ayurvedic books, and I said it was everywhere in between each line, but not articulated in the same exact way. It fulfills every single principle of Ayurveda, every single prescription of Ayurveda. This is what they're getting you back to. And there is no arguing. And then I went and I checked with all the Ayurvedic masters that I know. They said it is undeniable. Like they were like, how did we escape this? Like, how did we not think of it? And I'm like, because I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
So basically then I created this framework, right? I mean, I cannot say I created it, but this framework came to me. And this was a way for people to go back to what your body already knows. Because if animals can do it, if bugs can do it, if worms can do it with like 2 senses and no brain, and we can. And really, like the pain that I feel with how confused people are about their wellness. And they're so obsessed with getting their body right that they're just feeling horrible inside in their minds. I was like, there has to be a way which integrates your mind and your body and your breath. For me, you know, what ties the body and the mind is the breath.
It's the anchor.
And there has to be a way and they all have the same exact principle of that inner climate, warm and moist. So this became a framework. And I said, you know, Frank, honestly, I could write many books, right? Like I had all these other offers, like write a book on hormones, and they would also make me sound very intelligent and like I could use all this jargon and be like, but I was like, no, that's not the book I want to write. If I want to write a book, I want you to know you. I don't want you to connect with my intelligence. I want you to reconnect with your wisdom. And I am so grateful that I feel that this is what the book does.
We're so aligned too, because I'm writing my book now and I changed it, but I wanted to call it You Are the Miracle. But then I looked online and there's already so many books called that for so many things. Not so many, but there are enough. But it's because of like that. When you get your thinking mind out of the way, you are the miracle. You are that, you know? And I can go down that rabbit hole, but what I do want to say about warm and moist is that the guest that I had right before you is an amazing functional dentist.
Yeah.
And she talks about how really what they're teaching in dental school is so off compared to what we should be doing, and looking at the microbiome in the mouth and all these things she talks about, right? Oil pulling, the whole thing. And one of the things she said is like close the mouth tape. And
warm and moist inside.
And that she didn't say that, but in my head, I the whole time was thinking of you, because I was like, well, I don't know if she knows why, But she's like, when your mouth is open and you're breathing through your mouth, it's controlling everything because your mouth is now dry, right? So she knew it, but not necessarily like the whole point of like when it's closed, what's happening? It's so warm and moist in there.
Basically, and that's where microbiome thrives. And I love it. Earlier I was having a conversation with my people, and they were talking about this new product for like a nose tampon for nosebleeds. And they were telling me that the doctor, the doctor that represents this product said that, listen, you need that little tampon, nose tampon, nampon inside your nose because it keeps it moist inside. And that moist will support the microbiome. Oh. So I'm realizing that more and more doctors and biologists are actually realizing, and they're using the same terminology, but like what I think has gone missing, and that's why I think that this is really onto something, is that it's everywhere. The warm and moist is everywhere. Why does oil pulling work? Like dentists will advise you to do oil pulling. And the reason why oil pulling works, because what is oil? It is warm and it's moist. And like just the fact that it comes from a seed, the oil, its inherent nature is warming, right? So everything that we're doing.
Getting high again.
Yeah. But Frank, it's remarkable. I mean, like, what is love? Warm and moist. What is gratitude? Warm and moist. What is compassion? Warm and moist. What is anger? Hot. Depression is sluggish, overly humid, right? Anxiety is dry.
Bitter is dry, being bitter.
Yeah.
That's dry, yeah.
Yeah, and like being
cold.
Stressed, yeah, it's cold. And being stressed is hot and dry. Like if you're a long-term stress period, you'll notice the eyes become hot and dry, your mouth becomes hot and dry, your throat becomes hot and dry. I mean, it's just all over. So basically, Frank, like once I saw it, I just couldn't unsee it, right? Like, everywhere. It's why
you are with the gut. Like when you look at people, are you looking like, oh, they need gut help? They need gut help. Can you just tell by looking at them? Not clients. I'm like, look, you're walking down the street.
Yeah. I think more what I can tell about people is where they are in the spectrum of warm and moist. So I will not say gut health, but I'll say, hot and dry, very sluggish. And then I'll see there's a pattern like across, right? Like in their mind, in their bodies, in their relationships, like it's all the same pattern. And of course, the gut is also almost always like that, right? Like I always see if it's hot and dry, inflammation, it's systemic inflammation. So I think that is what I can see regularly and very, very quickly.
It's so interesting too that you said like when you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's almost like even when you went back and looked at all the Ayurvedic texts and you're like, wait, now I can't unsee it. And it was always there for thousands of years. I've had a guest on the show say that that they discovered things in the pyramids in Egypt, and he's like, and we, not him, but like teams, we as society have investigated these same chambers for thousands of years. This thing was always there and no one could see it, and all of a sudden you're like, now we can't unsee it. Like, how could you not see that was there this whole time, right? But it's like when our consciousness, like we were talking before we started recording about Kali Yuga and the different yugs, like the different cycles of humanity that we're in, maybe in that yug or any whatever state that we're in, you cannot see that. Like, there's even a practitioner of Chinese medicine told me reishi mushroom is so, it's like a guru itself. He's like, she told me, even if it will not reveal itself to certain people who are out picking mushrooms. If that person doesn't have the right energy, they won't even see it.
Oh my God, I so believe that. I so believe that. And like, again, by the way, all the places where these medicinal mushrooms grow, tell me, what is the climate? Warm and moist.
Interesting.
Right? And there are mushrooms that are good, that are not very good for you, that actually really hurt your microbiome. And those are mushrooms that grow in like really humid, sluggish places. But the medicinal mushrooms that grow in mountains and more like not as tropical places, those are the medicinal mushrooms.
Do you have any like names, like specific ones that you think are good for people and not good for people?
I think like the reishi, the lion's mane, but your everyday mushrooms, they really need to be cooked. If you notice that the Chinese eat a lot of dry mushrooms, like they actually dry their mushrooms, right? Because they suck off the excessive moisture, because mushrooms can have, like, they can almost be too slimy.
Like mold, basically, right? Mold is like when there's too much, it's too wet.
Basically, and that's why you need them just warm and moist. And then you moist, instead of making it slimy, you dry it so it's not slimy and it's the right level of moisture that you put in your system. So, I mean, listen, traditional diets, human beings all over the world have actually done this for a long period of time. For example, talk about traditional Chinese medicine, they ferment their foods a little bit, right? Like soy. What is that? Fermentation is a warm and moist process.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Culturing, because if you ever ferment anything, you'll see that firstly, it needs a warm place, right? And the entire container can actually become warm. Not only that, it's aerobic. So you'll see water globules, like you'll see droplets of water because it's a multiplication of bacteria that's happening inside, right? It is the process by itself is warm and moist. Like it's written right there on your face that fermentation, microbiome, culturing is a warm and moist process. And like this is why life exists on planet Earth as well, because the sun brings in the warmth and the heat and the dryness, but the moon brings the moisture. And when they meet in between, the place is warm and moist.
What about, speaking of like climate inside, there's so much now I'm seeing on social media. It must be a trend, or maybe, I don't know how this is getting out there, but I'm constantly seeing, specifically like, and this is actually why I posted the other day. You asked me why, about the heavy metal cleanse.
Yeah.
I've been seeing everywhere parasite cleanse and heavy metal cleanse.
Yeah.
Can we talk about those two things?
Yeah.
And whether to do it like as a kit that you get from like here's the package, or a more natural approach, or both. And let's talk about separately, like parasite cleanse first and heavy metal cleanse. Yeah.
And I think parasites are a significant problem, but where do parasites exist in the planet? Like you want to look at that because it's the same exact inside, right? So parasites exist in very like tropical, like so India in the monsoon, you'll have mosquitoes, you'll have bugs, you'll have all these leeches that are like essentially parasites. They live in very slimy places. So when the gut becomes slimy, right? Candida. So like one of the diets for candida or for parasites is like eat less sugar, eat less dairy, eat less refined flour, because all of these foods are really, really slimy.
So let me interrupt, sorry. So if somebody, let's say, is on keto, or like for me personally, I have not had wheat, sugar, maybe like once or twice, maybe in, I don't know, in the last 10 years. Sugar, wheat, or dairy, I'll have every now and then cheese, but no milk. So would that mean that that's already like not a good environment for parasites to exist?
No, that's not true at all.
Okay.
But
so you could still have parasites.
No, sorry, I take that back. It's a good environment for microbiome. So I thought your question was like, is that not good for microbiome? That's great for microbiome. But for parasites, if you don't have slime in your gut, but like there's certain other foods like jaggery. If you have rice every day, which is not aged, like the reason why basmati is known to be, and basmati is only one variety. There's many other great varieties, by the way, which are much better than basmati. But any rice that's aged is basically drier than other varieties. But if you eat fresh rice, freshly harvested rice, which in like the Western world, people don't care about aging their rice. But if you ever buy rice from an Indian grocery store, which comes in a jute bag, it's kept in silos for a year because it dries it out. So if you have like, you don't have any of these products, but if you have freshly harvested rice every day, or if you have jaggery, and there's certain other foods, like people who drink a lot of beer, like beer has that little slimy quality.
And wheat too. Heavy in wheat. By the way, for somebody who doesn't know, jaggery is sugar. Basically, but it's a better form of sugar. And
it's
cubes, like, they're brown.
Yes.
It's like unprocessed.
It's like a little unrefined. And it comes from the same plant of sugarcane, right? But it can be very slimy to your gut. So you want to, like, I don't think everybody needs a parasite cleanse. And I'll tell you why that is the case, right? Because Frank, what it can do is it can strip you of your essential moisture. A parasite cleanse is a drying out of it's a drying of your gut. But let's say your gut was a desert to begin with.
It's like taking antibiotics. It's like, fine, you're getting rid of the bad ones, but you're getting rid of everything, even the good things you don't want to get rid of.
You can over dry your climate.
Now, if you've been listening for a while, you know I don't just talk about things. I experiment with them. I push boundaries like I did with so many treatments on this channel. You'll have to go back and look. And let me tell you that Quantum Upgrade is actually next level. It's a cutting edge technology that taps into the power of quantum energy to elevate your mental clarity, vitality, and even the energetic frequency in the spaces that you're in. Yeah, I have Quantum Upgrade for my house, and let me tell you, my guests can feel it. And here's the wild part. It's not just some abstract concept. I literally have Quantum Upgraded activated on me right now. It's running on this podcast. So as you're listening, you might actually feel the energy. I've noticed the difference in my focus, my overall state, and even the way I show up every day. And if you're someone who's always looking to optimize your health, your performance, and your environment, this is something you need to check out. And the best part is that you don't have to take my word for it. Quantum Upgrade is giving, quite frankly, listeners a 14-day free trial so you can experience it for yourself. So just go to quantumupgrade.io and use the code FRANKLY to activate your free trial. Energy is everything, and if you're ready to level up your frequency, Quantum Upgrade is the way to do it.
And while I will try and source my herbs really well, I will get, because like the soil has arsenic, like we don't have a choice, like the soils, I will get people tested. I will say, how do we work on your liver? How do you upgrade your inner detox mechanism? Then to actually do a full heavy metal cleanse. But if there is a reason, right? Like if you feel like, hey, I have this fog and I'm feeling uncomfortable, or my body is not acting in predictable ways, what I'm consuming and how I'm living and thinking and breathing is not really matching my reality, you absolutely want to investigate further and try a route which feels safe and tested. But I don't think any of these are for everybody. And I am constantly working to say, how do we upgrade your own body's detox function? Right. Like your body can deal with a lot. It can adapt to a lot. You just have to constantly keep upgrading its own detox mechanisms.
Yeah, it's like, again, goes back to your body already knows. It already knows. So if somebody's working with you, what is the best? Are you still doing one-on-one, or is it more of these, like your classes?
So I've also gone back fully blown, like after the book, and now I have a little bit more time. I've gone fully onto one-on-one practice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fully?
I know. I mean, like that's not the only thing that I do. Like I'm teaching an Ayurvedic nutrition, like a nutrition practitioner, so like a certificate program. I'm teaching that. I will do more group programs in 2026. I have other programs, but as in I've said, I used to be like very sparingly doing one-on-one or not doing them at all for a while, but now I've gone back to like going all into one-on-one as well.
So you can really, if somebody says that they wanted to do a heavy metal detox, you would really look before you just say, okay, do it.
Yeah, and I would never just take somebody on for heavy metal detox. I'm like, sorry, you come to me, it's a full service.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't come and just fix your brakes or paint your car or like oil your tank. No, that's not me, right? But if you want a full body service, like you want a full servicing, then you come to me. And we do mind, body, soul, all of it. And you work with me for 4 to 6 months.
Wow.
And you have a full transformation. It's a reprogram.
Wow. See, I love that you say this too, because I have like with my clients too, one session, like option of a single session, and they're great. They always have amazing experiences. But I really love when they do like the 3 months or 6 months with me. It's like a different person by the end.
Yes.
Right? You see, it's like, who is this person that came to me versus now?
Yes. Yes, it's like a gentle cleaning versus like a whole revamp, like a whole renovation of yourself and like gutting it all down. And I think it's that like for me, and I can understand that for you, Frank, even a one-time session would be very valuable for the client, right? But for Ayurveda, if I see you only once, I'm at best giving you some prescriptions. And that's against my philosophy, right? You don't have that kind of a thing. You don't give prescriptions, you do energy clearing. Yeah. But for prescriptions, I'm taking them away from what your body already knows. So I want people to arrive at a deep understanding of who they are, what their habit patterns are, why they're carrying them, why they're making certain food choices, lifestyle choices, partner choices, and teaching them how to use their breath, how to use their food, how to use their day's design, how they schedule their day to come to a place to really start designing a life just naturally creates healing. I don't think healing should happen in parts. I think healing happens with every minute that you live life. Healing every choice that you make should naturally be a choice which leads to healing. And it doesn't mean it's a difficult choice. It's in fact a choice that is easier most often. It's a choice that is more aligned. It's a choice that brings you back to you.
It's interesting too with Ayurveda, with Chinese medicine, all of these like more Eastern holistic paths, that it's not like a quick fix. You really have to take your time to build it and to work with your body, and you're retraining it, right? So like it might not be that all of a sudden in 2 weeks, 3 weeks on this thing, your condition is gone.
Absolutely. And I could give you really potent herbs, and your symptoms that you were experiencing could actually be gone, for a few days or for a few weeks. But then you probably taxed your liver with all those herbs. You've probably not learned the causes. You've not, like, one of the first treatment for a condition, like, it's beautiful. The Sanskrit texts say this. The first treatment for any condition is elimination of cause. So which means that till I don't eliminate the causes that have led to this condition, I cannot even give you herbs to feel.
That's so interesting, because I would have thought it would be like, okay, first get rid of the symptoms just so you're like, okay, you're in a place of now, I feel good. Okay, now let's work on the cause. So
we'll do both simultaneously. Okay. Because I don't want to give you herbs and then you doing the same. Like for example, if I'm working with somebody who's like overheating their body, which means they're drinking 3 cups of black coffee every morning. They're overly stressed out. They're burnt out. They are consuming super spicy foods, and they are drinking alcohol at night. Now, all of this is contributing to that heat and inflammation in their system. And I can give them herbs to say like, hey, let's cool you off. But if I'm not working on the causes, and I won't work on everything, I'm not going to say give up your entire life all at once, but we'll modify, we'll gently do it. But if I don't start that work, then you understand like the herbs, then you can't get that far with the herbs. And you work short term, but your causes start building up again. And then it's unfair to the client that you're working with. So I'm very, very careful to work on that, what we call hetu parivarjan, elimination of cause.
That way they're not like, okay, when in 3 months when it all comes back again, or a year, they're not coming back to you.
I don't want them to come back to me. I'm like, I have succeeded if you're not coming back to me for your physical problems. I have a lot of my clients who keep renewing year after year, but to work with me.
You did say physical, so yeah, tell me more about that. What else are they working on?
So I start my work, like it's crazy. I start my work with something called unlocking. So Frank, so some people tell me it's a psychedelic journey, even though it's not. But I basically have this way where like people connect with their child version, whatever they need to in this moment, not all their child versions. And like they see what's like the patterns that they're coming up with in their mind and their body, and they realize. So we do a little bit of like an emotional, mental, spiritual cleanse that just happens. So we start there. And that allows them to really see where they have arrived and why they have come to this place. So we start there. And we don't need to go and excavate everything. It's more about your experience. It's not about the drama. You disconnect from the drama, but you really stay with your experience. And then they understand, like suddenly it's an eye-opener. People are like, oh my God, I get this. I get why I am like this in my mind, in my body. And then what I do is we create a vision of the future. I don't want people to be stuck in the past. So my clients make a vision movie. And like, how do you want to feel every day? So like we say, like, how are they showing up for life? So they create this vision movie that they watch every day in a certain state. And it's less about the visuals. It's about the experience, like what you invoke certain feelings. So it's like not even physical. I don't even start there. And then before I start the physical work, they create a toolkit. Everybody has to create a toolkit, because what happens when you start to create shifts in your life, your body starts to rebel, because it's so used to a certain biochemical reality, whether it's adrenaline, cortisol, dopamine, whatever it is. So the toolkit has 3 types of tools, and everybody has to do this. Preventative tools, something you do every day for your body to just understand what safety feels like, what equilibrium feels like. Now, it could be somebody meditating for 2 hours, or it could be somebody just listening to music, classical music, which aligns with your chakras, 7 musical notes, 7 chakras, 7 energy centers. It's all the same thing. So if you don't have the time, you're a young mother with 20 children, you just listen to music, a certain type of music, so that your body knows what safety feels like. So that's your preventative tool. I give a whole a la carte menu. People can pick what they want. Then you have battlefield tools. That now you've practiced for the battle. Now you get into the battlefield of life. You're stuck in traffic. Your mother-in-law was rude to you. Your teenager is not behaving themselves. But then the intensity starts building inside. And there's like your old habit pattern. I want to open a bag of chips, or I want to get this drink. When that intensity builds, how are you going to regulate it? So there's a whole, like, the simplest tool I'll say for anybody listening is humming. Humming puts you into parasympathetic. So how do you regulate on the battlefield? They're very different from preventative tools, because you can't always like, I'm going to meditate while my teenager is having a meltdown. So you can do other things in the moment. And then everybody has repair tools, which is anything from a massage to a tub bath to therapy to like, several other things that you can do, journaling. So everybody needs a toolkit, because when you're making systematic change in your life, you cannot do it without a toolkit.
Yeah.
And then, Frank, like sometimes, even before we start anything else, people are like, oh, I already feel better. And at this point, they're also writing something called their food, mood, poop journal. So they're also seeing the choices that they're making. They're seeing how they're progressing and evolving. And then they're in so much more clarity to actually make those changes in their life.
But what's cool about that journal too, that you're telling, or all of this, these kits, is it's teaching them to trust their own wisdom. Like I'm a biohacker. I love biohacking, but I refuse to do anything like Aura Ring and these things. Like, yeah, I won't. And people become obsessed with their sleep score, their this, whatever. Just how do you feel? That's your answer. Like when you were describing earlier about like eye boogers and all that, I honestly didn't even realize till you said that. I have not had an eye booger in like 12 years. Is that normal?
That's amazing. That's me too.
I have one even, like a little nothing, like nothing.
No, that's amazing.
I don't even clean my ears anymore. I don't know if that sounds gross to people, but I've tried. Like once a month, I'll go in with like a Q-tip and nothing is on it. It's like pure white. Like there's just no earwax. I don't know. I think we should be creating wax, but maybe I'm just not creating excessive.
Yeah,
wax.
maybe. But you want to make sure, like, so you don't want to be dry.
Yeah.
So you should, if you have, like, I'm sorry, again, I'm TMI, but if you have nose, like, you know, everybody should have moisture in their nose and it shouldn't be crusty. So if you feel like your nose is feeling crusty, that means your body is drying out. Like that's one of the first signs of like your body drying out is when your orifices, like your nose, your ears, and like I say, drying is dying, right? Like dying is autumn. That's how when we age, we, like, you look at really, really people who start aging, they're all drier. Right. So, and I don't think that's happening with you, Frank. I'm just telling you.
Although there could be a drying aspect for sure. And I'm already thinking of, because there were some herbs that I was taking that was really drying me out. I caught it and I stopped it.
Okay, beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because the one thing you don't want to do, especially if you're talking about the biohacking space in Ayurveda, is like there's two truths. Like this is what I see. Sometimes I talk about, like I'll have these talks on longevity and Ayurvedic biohacking, and like I'm like there's two principles. One is drying is dying. So what are all the things that you're doing that are drying? And what is it that you can bring into your life, whether it's body oiling, oil pulling, that create good moisture in your
Oil everywhere. That's what I love about Ayurveda, but
Like-
Panchakarma is like literally in every hole in your body, they'll put oil in it.
That's exactly. Oh my
Yeah.
God, Frank! I feel like you and I speak the same language because that's what I people. Every single orifice, like that's just
Right?
this
Yeah.
morning I was telling somebody else, I'm like every orifice in your body, like front, back, like
Even the belly button.
belly button,
Of course,
your
we're thinking
anus,
of like anus. Yeah.
everywhere, front, back. You just name it, and it's all oil, right? Like your oiling is such a great
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
So drying is dying. So what can you do? Like that's drying in your life, and you know, how do you like prevent that? And then how do you add the right kind of moisture? And then the second one is that there's this whole understanding in the Vedic wisdom and yogic wisdom that the number of breaths you come with are limited. They're counted, they're pre-counted. How quickly do you breathe your breaths? When you're fast-paced, when you're stressed out, when you're living, you know, yogis try to bring their breaths to 4 breaths per minute, like a yogi.
I try for 1.
Wow.
20 seconds in, hold for 20, release for 20. As much as I can consciously remember. Of course, during this interview, it's probably 4 to 5 a minute.
Listen, 4 to 5 a minute is great,
That's
right?
what I'm
Because
doing.
normal people are 12 to 20.
What?
Yeah, 12 to 20 breaths per minute.
You're hyperventilating at that point. That's not
Hyperventilation
breathing.
is 40. So when you're stressed, people are breathing like from anywhere from 20 to 40 when you're stressed, right? And like 40, people can get into a full-blown panic attack.
I didn't know 40 was possible.
Yeah, people are,
That's sad though. Yeah.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart because it's like, we're not even in a war zone. People are sometimes here. Like I grew up in a war. I was born into a civil war. And I know what that trauma can cause. Even though I don't consciously remember, I was 5 months old when I left.
Oh.
When I've done energy clearing on myself, I'll be like, where does this come from? And I look, it's from age like 3 months, 4
Wow,
months. I'm like,
that's
wow, that was me
crazy.
being afraid. Feel it. I had the program that the world is not safe, like all these things.
Oh.
But my point to that is like, we shouldn't, that's like we've really failed people as a society if they're feeling that in a third world country where you should have everything you need.
As well as I think regulation tools. I think we're bombarded with so much information and fear, like there's so much fear mongering that we've lost connection. And then again, right, like rapid breathing dries you out. So it kind of, it's like, even though it's an independent principle, it goes back to the first principle, which is drying is dying. When you're taking long, deep breaths, your body's in parasympathetic. All the neurotransmitters that are released in the parasympathetic are moistening to your body. They're drastically different from the, neurotransmitters when you're in sympathetic, when you're fight or flight. So whenever you take long, deep breaths, your body goes into a safe place. You will moisten yourself. You'll feel so relaxed and gooey and like this whole ASMR kind of feeling versus being like, go, 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 go. So these are the only two, this is, if you want to delay your aging, you want to age gracefully, like these are the only 2 principles, honestly, that like sum it up for you. And then you can take herbs that kind of keep you more moist. Then you can do practices that keep you more moist and do all of that. But like this is where it starts.
So you were saying that in every lifetime, there's a certain amount of breaths that everybody has allocated already.
Oh yeah.
I love this too. I grew up with this kind of a culture, this understanding where my mom would always say, like, it's already written. Like, it's the number you have is the number you have, right? Because if I was like afraid or to do something, she'd be like, look, it's already, your time is your time. But I had an astrologer once who told me too, he said, look, I know some remedies. You're not supposed to do them for anybody because it's really intense. He's like, but I do them for some clients. And he told me that it was a woman who she was like diagnosed with something where they were like 1 more year to live, something like that.
Yeah.
He said she was a very wealthy woman, spent her whole life working. She just wants to enjoy like 10 years at least, you know?
Yeah.
So she came to him asking for like a remedy. And he said, listen, I can do it, but I'm taking the 10 years from another life. Like you have to borrow. You don't just get 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So do you want this? And she was like, yeah, like I've worked so hard my whole life. I want to enjoy. I want 10 years. I won't wait. So he ended up doing the ritual. I don't know how the whole thing worked.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he kind of said that he gave her that disclaimer of like, we can do it, but we're borrowing.
Yeah.
So you're losing 10 years.
10 years of somebody else's life. Yeah.
And she was like, okay.
Yeah, and I kind of believe that too, and I feel like even that was predestined. And
I agree with that.
And like even though the doctor said you have 1 more year to live, she probably had more years in, like more breaths that preordained.
Right.
And because of that, this order had to be created in the universe for this to happen. Like I want to.
So okay, let's ask you about that. I want to interrupt because like this is my biggest question of this year.
Yeah.
I've been asking myself. I've been asking everyone I can.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is there free will or is everything predestined?
And of course, I think this is such a big existential question for all of us. This is what I believe in, that your cards are your cards. How you play is the free will. And basically also how you play your hands can actually change what's dealt to you next.
Next life?
No,
or
like
next in this life even.
Next even in this life, right? But what's happening, I think at every step, that every move I make, I change the energetics of the entire universe, right? So the universe does, like how this healer said that I'll take 10 years from somebody else. So the universe has to do a little bit of adjustment, right? So it's like just like it's this large matrix and I make a different move. All the moves around me also adjust a little bit according to my move. But there is a certain scope. And in that scope, it's constantly adjusting and it's constantly playing this game where I feel like the universe has the power to do this. But I 100% believe that the free will is in how you play your cards. Do you complicate your game or do you ease your game so that the next hand that you will be dealt, and I believe in lifetimes, is going to be determined in how you play your cards this lifetime. Can I say one thing which to me has been like the biggest thing that I live by, right? So there's two concepts, and I don't know if you talked about this last time, right? There's karma. We all know karma. Karma is like, hey, there's debit, credit, you get paid. And there is sanskar. Sanskar is like, what is your tendencies? What are your tendencies that have created your karma, right? For example, I'm this angry person. I'm like just mean to everybody around me. So my tendencies create my karma. And I carry these tendencies from lifetime to lifetime, and I keep creating karma around them. So then I can find myself with this big baggage. I have all this luggage of karma because of a certain tendency. But when that tendency disappears, like when I'm like, oh my God, I have this epiphany and I have this habit pattern. When this tendency drops, all the karma attached to the tendency annihilates. The magnetic charge that was holding my karma to my tendency all dissolves.
But see, this is the part that also, oh God, this is so deep too for people listening, because let's say you work with someone like me who is an energy clearer. What I'm clearing is people's tendencies.
Yeah.
So that's like even on a deeper level than I even figured. But now it's like, now as I'm thinking of past clients and stuff, I'm like, oh, I can see how, I clear that tendency and all of a sudden they're ending the relationship that they always knew was not right for them. They're creating a new space for something new, or they're whatever. The ailment goes away that was undiagnosable for 17 years, whatever it is. But what I'm clearing is not the ailment. I'm clearing the tendencies. I'll say you have stubbornness, like so much stubbornness, or you have this belief that people are out to get you, and it started in this year. And like I'll tell them what. And then all of a sudden, so we're not clearing it directly. We're just clearing the tendencies.
Because when you clear the tendency, everything else annihilates around it. Everything that was holding, everything that was attracting, you were attracting in your life, now just dissolves. And I'm like, this is the energetic shift the universe keeps making, right? So I can't, like, it's not preordained. No, when people tell me, oh, you were always meant to be married. So I'll tell you, right? I was married to a man, and I was in a very uncomfortable place, right? And I never left because I was like, oh, this was preordained. This is my destiny. But I'll tell you, as I started working, and I went into a place of deep compassion, deep tolerance, and I just started my self-work, like tremendous amounts of self-work. And when all of those energy explosions happened, like, I cannot say that I left, it shed away from me. Because, when I was so attached, like, oh my God, I'm feeling so uncomfortable, there was such a deep attachment and resentment with what was happening. But the minute that dropped, right, and there was like clouds cleared, and like what emerged was clarity, and it just, what was not mine, just shed away. And so it was not that this was it was preordained till the time I held the tendency.
Yeah. Okay. So I wonder though, how are you into astrology?
Oh, of course, I love it.
You love it, right? Okay. So my astrologer, who is a Vedic astrologer, will say, but even that would be in your chart, that you would have that epiphany and that this would then fall away.
So I would say that like this is how I've looked at it. The potential for this to happen is in your chart, right? Like there are areas, right? For example, like I'm more conducive to having a baby when I'm in certain years, right? Like, or my biological makeup is such that I'm more fertile. Yeah, that'll be in my chart. Now I can decide to have the baby or not have the baby, right? So I think the biological chart is like a whole navigation system, but you can choose to drive. You can absolutely choose to drive. And I've seen this, like that's why when you have Saturn in your chart, like when you have a Saturn period, like people can really grow from it, because what is preordained in that situation, that you will be faced with a lot of your tendencies. And a lot of your karma gets out of the baggage and you get to see it. And now it's your choice. Do I further entangle myself in this karma and I strengthen my tendencies and I become so locked in it so that next life I have even more baggage? Or do I take this period when my baggage is exposed to me to actually undo myself and become lighter? And like almost Frank, for me, somehow there's no doubt in my mind. Like I'm so clear and I'm like, look, even none of this matters to me, because really what matters is, am I undoing myself in this life? And as long as I'm undoing myself in this life, I become lighter, you feel more abundant, and let it happen, even without the attachment of undoing, right? Like you're just like staying still, curious, regulating constantly, connecting higher, and then let it happen, because that's really the only job of human life. Right? Our physical bodies are going to grow, they're going to reproduce, they have the ability to do that, to create in the world, and then they will decay. That's a promise. It's the promise of human life. Doesn't matter how much we hack it, but it's the promise. And I quite frankly, I always say this to everybody, right? It's like when you wouldn't want, we're the only species, 1 out of 5 species that have menopause. Other species, they die after the reproductive age, because they're not useful to the planet anymore. If they're not useful to the planet anymore, the planet, you're like done. Not possible.
Which from a bacterial, like going back to it makes sense, right? We're here for them.
We're here for them. And the only reason why humans evolved into having this menopause in the 1700s, not even that long ago, and is because, that the grandparents could actually support to have more children. So we evolved into this like a community, species, and like families and all of that. So because of that, like our bodies evolved at some point into the stage where women lived after like 45, 35, because they would physically die after menopause, when you could not bear a child. And when I think about that, right, I'm like, and that's also like the opportunity of human life is after that time, what do you do for yourself and how do you grow? But like, just as I wouldn't want cells in my body that have stopped reproducing, that have stopped their function, I wouldn't want them to hang out in my body. I'd want them to leave. Honestly, the planet wants us to leave. We're not contributing to the microbiome. We're not the healthy bacteria after a certain age, and our physical realities. So unless we're contributing in a larger way to the order of the world, in energetically even, the earth doesn't want us much longer.
Wait, you mean like as a species?
No, like as a person.
Oh, okay, yeah. After a certain
individuals, individuals, yeah.
Which is interesting because now people are living longer and longer.
People are living longer and longer because we are living sometimes artificially, right? And also there's a lot of disorder and chaos on the planet for the same reason.
Yeah. What would you say like is the Ayurvedic connection to all of this karma, like that, or sanskara?
Yeah, sanskara.
Sanskara. I thought always
same thing as sankhara. Sankhara is
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I've always heard sankara.
Yeah. That's more a Buddhist term. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the correlation between working with an Ayurvedic practitioner or with your, on yourself, with karma, with how you live your life, all the other stuff? Like forget like just health, because that's what I think people think of. I'm going to go to an Ayurveda doctor, a Chinese medicine doctor, whatever, for my health, for this symptom.
Yeah. So I will be honest with you, like Ayurveda, hardcore Ayurveda is more about the physical body, and it kind of refers to yoga and other Eastern psychology for everything else. For me, I have been doing both since I was a young child. So I bring both of them into my practice. But I would say if you've studied Ayurveda, it is not possible to develop a spiritual connection, to live without developing a spiritual connection. At some point, you will find yourself in awe of the order of the universe. At some point, you will be on that high. Like for me, Frank, every time I open my Sahitas, my ancient texts, like I'm as excited as like, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like I can cry thinking about how beautiful is the order of the universe, right? So it is not possible. Like you feel so small. You realize how little you are in this whole arrangement that's out there. So it does give you that perspective. Now, I think it is the mindset of the practitioner, of the doctor, that how do they want to position? Like, where do they feel like they fit in? What is it? And I'm not saying positioning in terms of a career positioning. It's what is feeling aligned with them? And I think there's room for everybody. I think a practitioner who you just have a stomachache and you go to the practitioner and they say, hey, you eat this and you feel better, is as useful as somebody who gives you a deeper transformation. It's about where you are, and there should be somebody for everybody. So by no means am I saying that, a prescriptive practitioner could also give you great relief in that moment, and that's fine and that's perfect.
But it goes back also, it's so interesting to what you said earlier about how, well, I said about the reishi mushroom, you said about I forgot what it was that you said, the text, how it was always there, but people weren't really seeing it. It's almost like when you're energetically ready, that practitioner will appear. Like you're not meant to work with this person yet. You're meant to do this. And then maybe in a year or 2 years, 3 years, you'll work with that person.
That is so true. Like life is a wonder. Life is just a miracle. And I was telling you before we started about this master that I stumbled upon when I was very energetically aligned. And it was in the pandemic and I wasn't meeting anybody. I was living in this home in New Jersey with my 2 daughters. And I had no business meeting anybody from outside the world. And he just dropped into my life and stayed for 2 years and telling me that when you don't need me, I won't be there.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's like when the seeker is ready, the master arrives, and that it couldn't be more true. It always happens. And that's why I love this Eastern wisdom, because it kind of keeps bringing you back to yourself, no matter which way you target it. You keep finding yourself, your way back home to yourself, whether you listen to Thich Nhat Hanh, whether you're practicing a Vedic practice, whether you're going to go and listen to Zen, it's all Buddhism, all of it. It's all the same. It's like you are the home. You are it. You are one with the universe. And in different ways, you all find yourself way back. You find your way back.
Yeah, and it's also it's what you said earlier about you're so small in the whole thing, but also, okay, you as Nidhi, me as Frank, we're so small in the whole thing.
Yeah.
But what I really am, what you really am, is expansive. It's the infinite void, limitless. It's the biggest thing. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
You are the miracle.
Yeah. You're absolutely.
You are the miracle. It's like even when you were describing in the very beginning the cell, and you said something about it. As you said it, I could see that every cell in the body, we have trillions.
Yeah.
Each one is a universe.
Yeah. Each one is a universe. It's exactly identical to the Milky Way
universe.
Yeah. It's identical to the galaxies.
And who knows what storylines are happening within that cell.
Oh my God.
And experiences and life, and right? And each one, and there's trillions, just like how there's trillions of stars, and each one, we don't know everything. How many microbiome are on there, on each star? On it, this is literally eternal. I mean, it's expansive, it's limitless. The mind cannot grasp it. I don't even try, because it can't.
It cannot. It absolutely cannot. But in those moments when we lose sense of time and space, and we forget our own identity, and we are just one, I think those are the expansive moments. And in those moments, that's the moment of wonder. So I feel like my biggest, I tell this to my daughters, Frank, I'm like, notice when you've lost sense of time and space. Thread all those moments together, and they will bring you to your purpose. And when I look back, right, Frank, I was like that student. I was a backbencher. I never wanted to pay attention in class. I couldn't care less, to be honest with you.
Same.
I was like, oh my God. And so I was always making chits and talking to my friends. But I'm like, when I remember when they talked about the Vedic wisdom and the 4 ashrams of life and the 4 goals, I was like I lost sense of time and space. I was so, and I can see even from childhood, all the times that I dissolved in the moment where if I thread all of those moments, it's brought me where I am. So it is so important. That's what defines your purpose. Your purpose is if we all just relied upon the places where we just dissolve in time and we thread that. For a musician, it's playing the perfect music. For somebody who builds art, who makes art, and if we all did that on the planet, there would be no chaos or disorder, because everybody is living their purpose.
Oh, wow. So yeah, we talked about karma, sankara, but now there's dharma too.
There's dharma.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the ultimate dharma, is that space.
It's also, I wonder if like, can Dharma also change, right? Because like I was a journalist, I was on TV, I was doing all that. And then all of a sudden, 5 years ago, I was like, it was so obvious. I just needed to go full-time energy healer, you know?
But did you feel very aligned with that role as well when you were there?
At the time I did, but truly now that I do what I do now and I feel what I feel now, it would be not just impossible, it would be torture to ever do that again.
Yeah. So that could have been a stepping stone to your dharma, right? Like, I mean, probably it was somewhere there, like that was preordained, that you were going to meet all these people. And because you showed up in a certain way and your cards changed, and then you kind of step into this role. But I feel like in the course of our lifetimes, it's like the way I practice today can change. But I know that really why I'm here is for that deep connection, to bring ease to people. Like, that's where I lose sense of time and space. That's where no time, like, you know, like Warren Buffett, right? You know, Warren Buffett, he's like in his 90s, eats junk, like big hamburgers, drinks like big glasses of Coca-Cola all day long. And he's in his 90s and he's still so sharp, right? Because he's living his purpose. Because time stops, you don't age. You actually don't age in that time, right? Because you're lost in time. And your body, like your biological reality, is very, very different for people who are living their purpose. You'll see people who do all kinds of junk, but they do what they love to do. And they don't, like, time stops for them. So basically, I think, and that's also the ultimate biohack, is finding your purpose and living in that state. Sometimes I'll be teaching for 3-4 hours. I won't take a break. And it's the most energizing thing. Wow. It's not exhausting because I was one with what I was doing.
Even when we do interviews, it's like, you like to just, okay, I don't want to know the questions. Don't even ask questions. Let's just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because that gets you into your flow state.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I don't want to know the questions. And sometimes people in my team, they're like, oh, but you should know, like, this is what they, I said, okay, just like bring me there. And because I can give you more in that state. Yeah.
If somebody was reading the book now, your book, Your Body Already Knows, what are, you know, you've been on the show, you've talked for years now on all your platforms of warm and moist, of descent and decay.
Yeah.
But what are the things that they'll get from your book, this one?
Yeah, I think it's a systematic way of bringing this into your life. So they all, like, all these concepts, they click with people. They're like, oh, this makes sense. But how do we start bringing it into our lives in small baby steps? So there's a 21-day plan where you are allowed, like, I teach you day by day by day, and I also present the dilemmas that might come with it. Like, oh, like, drink water this way, but like, this is, I'll talk about the challenges that I know people will face. So it's a very simple guide into so you can start living like this and actually experience what it means to, like, know what your body knows.
That's so smart. So like, you're like addressing the possible pain points as you're giving the lesson.
Exactly. And like, you make this shift over a period of 21 days and you continue to stay in awe and wonder of the universe and these 3 codes, I call them the cosmic codes. And you stay in wonder of these 3 cosmic codes for that period. And I just give it a shot. And I'm very pleased with what it's done for people.
What do you think that if somebody is like, okay, I am interested in Ayurveda, but I don't know specifically why I would turn to it or to a practitioner? What are some areas of life, whether it's symptomatic or whether it's just a place that you find yourself in, who would go to do Ayurvedic work?
I'd say honestly, it's a lot of different people that come to Ayurveda from a very different place. Like, somebody could come to Ayurveda because they are just interested in nutrition aspect of it. There's somebody who are interested in the bio-individuality aspect of it and be like, listen, I'm very different. My body is very specific. All of this that I hear and see does not work for me. So I would say these are 2 great entry points, is like, how do I eat and understand food science like my ancestors did? Doesn't matter where they live, they all knew this, but Ayurveda explains it really well. Or like, you understand that your body is unique and different. Your climate has been altered to a state which is different. And how do you come back from it? Or there could be somebody who's just adopted tongue scraping and then they found their way. Like, Ayurveda finds you, by the way. Right. You don't find Ayurveda. Like, if you think that you find Ayurveda.
Really?
It finds you.
That's what they say about like ayahuasca and plant medicine. Yeah. They say you'll get the call when you're ready. Like, it calls you. You don't seek it.
Of course, Frank, I mean, like, I had no business studying Ayurveda. My family was like, are you crazy? You're studying Ayurveda? Like, who in the world is going to care about Ayurveda? And especially I was moved to the US and like, sorry, nobody, like, and in the beginning people were like, what? Are you what? Are you?
Yeah, even now I would say.
Now, like 8 out of 10 people know what Ayurveda is.
8 out of 10?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like 8 out of them tell in certain cities,
Whoa.
LA, New York, they'll understand. They're like, yeah, we've heard of it. At least they've heard of it, right? But I know business, but I'm like, I don't have a choice. Like it pulled me in, it called me. So if you think of a lucrative career option, it wasn't.
Right.
You know,
right.
but it's like you just take it. You take the lead. Ayurveda leads you to places, and you just have to take it. You have to surrender to Ayurveda, and it'll find you. So I tell everybody, like, you know, if it's calling you, it'll tell you how to answer the call. Like, stay open. Just stay open.
Yeah, great for life anyway. Like that's just great life advice.
Yeah, yeah.
So with the 21 days, is that like a reset?
It will create a very strong foundation. It will reset as a side effect. As a side effect, it'll bring you back to, you know, much closer to equilibrium and homeostasis just naturally than you are living in. So like I've had people report to me, like I have this friend who gave it to her colleague, to his colleague. She didn't really know. She was this like, you know, typical New Yorker white woman, didn't hear about Ayurveda. And the book is like jargon free. Like there's no jargon in the book. And so it's no Ayurvedic concept like that. It's presented very logically and scientifically. So she was like, okay, fine, I'll just read this book. And she's like, listen, for the last 3-4 years, she was stuck with this excess weight, which was not comfortable in her body at all. And she did every kind of diet, she did all of that. And she was like, forget it, I'm not even trying anymore. And she just like did the 21 days and she saw that her body reached, she's like, I cannot imagine, like when I weighed myself, I was 6-7 pounds lighter, which was impossible to achieve. But it's not because she tried to lose weight. It's because she just started living in a certain way that whatever was not hers in her body, what was not optimum started dropping. There are people who put on a little bit of weight who are like just struggling with depletion. So it'll do for you what you need. But you're just going back to living in a manner that how human beings were meant to live.
What if somebody, I would love hearing stories, by the way, especially like client stories, because I think also people who are listening start to see themselves in it. Those people. Yeah. So I would love to hear a couple more stories, but also do you think that, or do you know, have you seen that people who will work, let's say for weight, they come to it for weight. Like that's what this woman did, right? She's trying. Other things also start to happen. Like maybe you start to think like, oh, I'm now eating more fats, healthy fat, which is counterintuitive. Or like a lot of biohackers now, anybody really, it's such a trend that intermittent fasting, but they do it where they skip breakfast. Where it's like, actually it would be way more beneficial to skip dinner.
Beautiful,
Right? So like little things like that. Do you feel like people are also changing their habits? I
mean, that's a big part of the book. It's to start living in alignment with the circadian clock. So people change their habits drastically, and they will not. So there are people, right? Like I'm going to give you another story, right? Like there was a woman, did it all, Panchakarma, functional medicine, taking Ayurvedic practitioner courses, all of it. And she signed up for one of my 21-day programs. You know, she worked with me over 21 days in a group. And she was just like, here, she's like, oh, I just like listening to you. You explain things better. So she was not expecting any miracles or anything like that. She was like, I've healed my gut. She's like, I have struggled for 10 years with all of this, and you didn't even give me any herbs. You didn't make me do anything.
I just changing your life.
She's like, and like we called, like, because it was a Zoom call and we like kind of recorded that little snippet. And she was like, I just healed. Like, I cannot believe, because we try to go for the most complicated solutions sometimes. It's not in the complicated solutions because I said, life loved life. You reset your climate, life will thrive. So you just need to keep coming back to it. You don't need to fragment your treatment. So you're right, if somebody comes for weight loss, accidentally they'll have better hair, better skin, better sleep, better relationships, better all of it. But that's my disclaimer that, sorry, you'll have side effects. And there are side effects that you might
side effects are miracles.
The side effects are miracles. People are like, I cannot believe. And Frank, I cannot even tell you the number of stories that we have of people just being like, it was this easy, like, because it's so easy and sustainable when you understand the logic behind it and you do it from a place of awe and wonder. And we have endless such stories. People being on statins and their blood pressure just being like, how did it regulate, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, things that people feel that they have to just live with, like diabetes or whatever, their whole life, can just be a simple lifestyle change.
Can be, but some things like that, like diabetes and thyroid. Diabetes is easier than thyroid, but diabetes can be a little trickier if you don't have your toolkit. But if you have an emotional regulation toolkit, because every time we are stressed and your body will release cortisol, glucose will come out of your blood cells, there will be like this whole mechanism, insulin, like your pancreas is going to have to work harder, and then your body loses that insulin glucose mechanism. and then, you kind of start living, because stress will release glucose into your bloodstream. So you cannot just do it through just lifestyle change. You need that toolkit.
Yeah.
So for that, I'm like, you work with me in my 21-day program. Let's do the toolkit. Work on me one, because the toolkit is the most important aspect of certain conditions. Especially endocrine disorders, you need a toolkit. A lot of it is related to energetics and stress.
I could talk to you all day, so I'm wondering if you have anything you want to leave people with.
I just want to leave people with this whole idea that, listen, it is far easier than you think it is. You just have to open the gates to yourself. And that is a scary thought. And it feels like, oh my God, I don't even know where this gate exists. Start slow, step by step. And as long as you feel open about it, the gates will open. So stay away from all this information and noise and just go within you.
Oh, beautiful. And honestly, please, don't wait for there to be an ailment, right? Just get in balance now, because it's so easy. I think you said something of it's easy for it to be overwhelming. And I think it can be. So people think if there's no emergency, I'll save this for later. I'll keep doing my habits or whatever else. But it's do it now.
Do it now. Do it now.
So many people always tell me well, why did you get stem cells or this or that? You don't need it. I said, yeah, but I want to do it before I need it.
Absolutely. I will just say one last thing. I just think it's important, right? So these are the measures, right? If you're having a bowel movement every day, preferably in the AM, if you're sleeping well, if there's no excessive dryness in your system, if you're a woman and you have your periods, your menstrual cycles, chances are, chances are that your body is doing really well. And at that point, you tune into your breath. And if you can if your breath is nice and long, you're tuning into your exhales, you're not leaving your mouth open at night, which again use your breath. Your breath is a stronger tool, right? And I can talk about breath for days on end, so we're not getting into that, but use your breath as a tool to regulate the climate inside your body. It is the easiest, most powerful. And in these times, when I say that the food you eat, the air you breathe, the leaders who lead cannot be trusted, the one thing that can bring you back unadulterated is your breath. So there's a whole mechanism of how this works. Just be open to it. And if you've heard this, and if this has resonated, I promise you some information will drop into your field that you need to know next to work with your breath.
Okay. Yeah, we'll end it there. That's good. Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So good.
Ever since I wrote my goals down with the pen, my dreams and reality have both been blending in. I just hope that in the end, my debt don't extend me all my dividends. If it did, and I think